Welcome to Patriots Corner with Dr. Hill, your source for unfiltered conservative analysis, where we're here to dissect this week's biggest stories in politics, breaking news, government, and the economy, all from a grounded conservative perspective. All right, sorry about that little snafu earlier. My one Google just does not like my mic. No spin, just straight talk about what matters to you. We'll delve into the issues shaping our nation, hold our leaders accountable, and discuss and debate solutions to uphold our core American values. I also wanted to say something before we start. I am not an attorney. My doctoral degree is in law and public policy, and my areas of expertise include real estate development, urban development, transportation, and economics and finance. Also, I only started my live podcast a little over a month ago. For now, the structure I follow is broken down into 5-minute segments. At the end of each segment, I will review the comments, read a few questions and answers, see how everything's going. And then also, don't forget to tune in every Sunday, Wednesday, and Thursday at 7 p.m. Sometimes Sunday, it might be a little bit earlier than that, Central Standard Time on Rumble, YouTube, Locals, Twitch, Facebook, or sometimes I also do Instagram, just depending. Segment one this week, I'm going to start with breaking news updates and on the Boulder, Colorado terrorist attack. Um, Breaking news this weekend shocked the nation this week with a horrific terrorist attack in Boulder, Colorado. This act of violence was perpetuated by Mohammed Solomon, an illegal immigrant whose presence in the country was already in violation of immigration law. Solomon's target was a peaceful gathering of Jewish people who had assembled to demonstrate their solidarity with the Jewish hostages still being held captive in Gaza by Hamas. These individuals were calling for the safe return of their loved ones, only to be met with violence on American soil. Further details emerged on Monday morning, shedding light on Solomon's background and intentions. An Egyptian national, Solomon had overstayed his initial tourist visa. Despite his expired status, the Biden administration had subsequently granted him a work visa, which itself had expired back in March of this year. This revelation raised serious questions about the vetting and oversight processes within the immigration system. More disturbingly, it was revealed that Solomon had meticulously planned this attack for nearly a year. His initial attempt to acquire a firearm was thwarted by a failed federal background check, leading him to the resort to the use of Molotov cocktails, which the incident highlights a significant irony in the ongoing gun control debate. The left frequently asserts that current firearm background checks are insufficient to require stricter measures. However, in this case, the existing background check system demonstrably worked, preventing a potentially catastrophic outcome. I mean, we could end up with hundreds dead and dozens injured, but we didn't, thank God. Had Solomon succeeded in obtaining an AR-15 style rifle or even a few handguns, the scale of the tragedy could have been exponentially greater. The mind recoils at the thought of dozens more dead and countless others injured. This event serves as a stark reminder of the importance of upholding and enforcing existing laws and potentially the dire consequences of failing to do so. Even after all of this, it's crickets from the left. And now that on Tuesday it was released that DHS was taking his family into custody and deporting them, the left is crying, saying DHS is somehow cruel and unusual, punishing the family for the father's actions when the rest of the family is also in this country illegally. Department of Homeland Secretary Kristi Noem stated that they were taking the Solomon family into ICE custody because they sought to determine the extent of the family's knowledge regarding the individual's alleged plans. Specifically, investigators aimed to uncover if the family had any prior awareness of these plans, whether they provided any form of assistance or facilitation, and why they failed to report any suspicious activity to law enforcement agencies such as the police or the FBI, even though anonymous channels. But yet, the attacks surrounding the immigration enforcement have become increasingly volatile, with concerns that certain political rhetoric and propaganda may be inciting violence against DHS, ICE, and Border Patrol agents. This situation has escalated to the point where these officers now feel compelled to wear masks to conceal their identities. I was going to try something. I can't remember if it came up. I kind of added this in, but I'm going to do it now. Um, I'm gonna see if I can do the screen share and, if it'll let me do the screen share here. Why is it not going to the right one? Anyways, and I was gonna try to see if I can play this video here, but this was from earlier today. Hopefully I'll get this ad here in a second.
On X, we are investigating to see what extent his family knew about this heinous attack, if they had knowledge of it, or if they provided support to it. Director of Policy Studies at the Center for Immigration Studies, Jessica Vaughn, joins me now. Jessica, thank you for joining us this morning. I mean, it's unclear if this attacker knew how deeply his actions would impact his family, but he did admit to not carrying out this attack until after his daughter graduated from high school. So clearly he did care about their future. And now he has to live with their potential deportation as he sits in jail, potentially for the rest of his life.
Yeah, I mean, that's the crazy thing. And that was just released, and one thing I was gonna add this to the end, but I'll just go ahead and speak about it now since this came out at or was released after I would started to, do my script and everything, but there is now a federal judge who has come out and literally put a stop on them deporting his family, and that's the problem is because there's no way that his family did not know something. There's just no way in the world that they did not know something had happened, that he was planning this attack. He did it planned it for a whole year. So there's no way his family didn't figure it out somehow. Now the question is whether they actually, and I'll get to this here in a second, but and then obviously this was a precautionary measure is intended to prevent potential retaliation and attacks at their homes. I'm going to go back to the previous part. Highlighting the dangerous environment created by the ongoing political polarization and public animosity directed towards the law enforcement officials performing their duties. While over 34 sanctuary states actively work to obstruct the efforts of DHS in apprehending and deporting criminal legal immigrants, Texas has taken a contrasting approach. The legislature passed a bill mandating that county sheriffs now cooperate with ICE and Border Patrol in the apprehension and detention of such individuals. And then the legislative actions highlights the significant difference in state policies and their consequential impact on the federal government's ability to enforce immigration law consistently nationwide. Now, at the same time, how the left can't seem to understand what the American people voted for and what is best for the American baffles me. Only a week before this attack, we had the story of Ava Moore, an 18-year-old Air Force cadet candidate who was home for the Memorial Day weekend in Grapevine, Texas, out on the lake with her family when another illegal immigrant from Venezuela ran her over while she was out kayaking with a jet ski, killing her almost instantly. Plus, on May 18th, another Venezuelan was involved in a hit and run in Nashville, Tennessee, critically injuring a 21-year-old female. When will the left get the point? Americans are tired of the loved ones, family members, and friends being maimed and killed by people who should never have been here in this country in the first place. Now, while yes, it doesn't mean they wouldn't have been killed or injured anyway, but the chances would have been significantly decreased. Now, on a positive note, the chief of Dallas, which police, the new chief, has stated that he will collaborate with DHS and other federal agencies on immigration enforcement, a departure from his predecessor's approach. And see, here's the funny thing: is the left people are getting so tired of dealing with the left's propaganda and rhetoric, is they actually elected a conservative mayor in a usually Democratic-run city, Dallas, Texas, and now they have got a appointed police chief that will actually work with the federal thing. Now, I thought I'd had included in the script earlier, but for some reason they didn't get put in there. And when I was talking about, there's no way his family that he did plan this thing for a whole year, tried to purchase guns, did all this stuff, had all these Molotov cocktails made, and that his family didn't know somehow or possibly even assist him. And the fact is even if they didn't assist him, but they knew he was planning it and they did not say anything or do anything to stop it, that makes them guilty by association because that means they could have called anonymously, reported it, something like that. Let the FBI know, hey, so and so is planning a terrorist attack, blah, blah, blah. They could have said it and they could have protected themselves. They could have gotten immunity. If they had gone up in the first place and said, "Hey, I want immunity. I've got some, I've got information with a known possible terrorist attack being planned for sometime in the next year. Can I get immunity if I tell you about it?" And then they would have been able to stay here. They wouldn't have gotten deported. But now this judge has issued a ruling stating that DHS cannot deport them when they already overstayed their visas. Their visas were expired. They shouldn't be here in the first place. And there's a good chance that they believe what their father does or have similar beliefs and possibly even helped him. Because if they didn't know about it, then why would he wait till his daughter graduated high school? Why didn't he just done it before then? Well, now that I know that's on there, I can at least get. I was trying to find the other story I wanted to play. I wish I could have figured out where it went to, but I was trying to figure out where my other story went I wanted to play. All right, so what we need is for Democrats to work with the Republicans so we can pass comprehensive immigration reform that makes our immigration laws stricter, so we don't have to keep hearing stories like these or the hundreds of others we have heard about over the last 4 years. I mean, this is just getting old and ridiculous. President Trump's goal for DHS is to arrest 3,000 illegal criminal aliens a day, and currently we are seeing around 1,400 a day, which is still double what it was under the last 4 years of the Biden administration. And we don't have not hardly any people making it in, so it's really almost quadruple, really. Another update: Biden appointed judge, like I said, blocked the deportation of the Boulder, Colorado terrorist attacker despite visa violations for his family. Once again, another judge overstepping his Article 2 authorities. How can a judge make this move after this man committed such a heinous act at very little chance that his family didn't have some knowledge of their father's planned activities? I mean, how can this I mean, obviously he was a judge, Biden appointed judge, but still, I mean, it doesn't make any sense to me how he could not have. It just doesn't. So there's got to be some way he knew. But all right, well, shows I've got one person in. It's still not letting me get anybody. I don't know if it's letting me get anybody in Facebook or not. I think this, for some reason, puts Facebook in a private. Yeah, see, it's only going to me. It's not letting me put it out to anybody else. So I don't know how to get the live on Facebook on this out to more people. I'm gonna have to figure out how to make sure it doesn't go private because that's what it's doing. All right. Well, since I don't have anybody in chat yet, if you check this out on one of my sites and after it's been live is over, please like, follow, subscribe. I just also set up established a website. I'm still kind of getting it together. It is published. It is out. I'm still finally tuning the pages, adding, taking away stuff, getting all the pre-added stuff in there, putting my own. But it's www.patriotscornerwithdrhilllaw.com. So it's Patriots Corner with drhilllaw.com. Check it out. All my videos are posted up there too, previous episodes, and then also check them out on here. But I'm going to go ahead and get on to segment 2, which is going over the economy and the big beautiful bill. Now, the recent release of congressional CBO figures concerning the one big beautiful bill has sparked considerable discussion. While the numbers indicate a projected $3.7 trillion in savings for taxpayers, they also reveal a corresponding $2.4 trillion increase to the national budget deficit. Now, it is crucial to note, however, that CBO reports analysis is confirmed to immediate fiscal projections. It does not account for any growth in GDP. So it doesn't capture the potential for long-term economic growth and increased GDP, or gross domestic product, that could result from the very initiatives encompassed within the big beautiful bill. Such growth could offset the initial deficit increase, potentially leading to an ever stronger fiscal position in the future, which is obviously what they don't account for. Now, in recent months, President Trump's tariff policies have faced intense scrutiny and criticism, with many expressing concerns that they would trigger an economic recession. However, the April jobs report painted a contrasting picture. the economy witnessed a robust net gain of 177,000 jobs, surpassing many expert predictions. I'm going to pause this real quick so I can yell. Alrighty. Now, this surge in employment also pushed the unemployment rate down to a healthy 4.2%. Furthermore, the inflation rate experienced a notable dip, reaching 2.1%, a 5 year low, suggesting a stable economic environment even amidst the tariff implementations. These developments directly contradict the narratives and predictions put forth by many far left leaning economists. Since February, these economists have warned of dire economic consequences due to the administration's policies. Concerns range from empty shelves, signaling supply chain issues, to substantial price increases due to tariffs. However, the data suggests a more stable and growing economy. Shelves remain stocked. Prices have not witnessed the dramatic surges predicted, and crucially, the economy continues to generate new jobs despite already being considered at or near full employment. This resilience suggests that the economic fundamentals may be stronger than believed and that current policies, rather than leading to collapse, are contributing to a period of continued growth and stability. Now, additionally, the concerns from both the left and some of the right that the current bill doesn't do enough or increases our nation's debt beyond what it can handle have merit. The issue is that this is not an appropriate appropriations bill. It is only a continuing resolution or spending bill. Additionally, neither Democrats nor Republicans have the will to do what is necessary to balance the budget and begin paying down the nation's debt. Everyone pretends that they know what they are talking about and says, "Oh, let's cut foreign aid," or "Oh, let's cut the defense budget." "Oh, hey, let's raise taxes on the rich." What no one understands is the scale of our nation's debt, spending, and borrowing, which in 2024 amounted to approximately 6 billion a day in borrowing only. If you broke down our annual debt into 365 days and you were to cut 100% of all the budget listed, plus you were to cut pay for 40,000 federal employees and not pay both houses of Congress, it would still only save 6 months total of borrowing, not spending. Almost 50% of our nation's budget is accounted for by Social Security, Medicaid, and Medicare, and then interest, which are often seen as untouchable. Over the next 10 years, due to the baby boomers, almost 100% of the nation's debt will be accompanied of interest, Medicaid, and Medicare. One of the major issues currently is that we have more older adults than children being born, which means we will face a shortage of workers in 10 years and we'll have more money going out than coming in. Also, when it comes to Social Security and going insolvent, it isn't because Congress stole from the program. It is because over the first 40 years or so of the program, we had more money going into the program than we had being paid out. Now it's the opposite way. However, with baby boomers entering retirement, age and the number of children per family have significantly decreased, as has the number of grandchildren. We now have more money leaving the program than we have being paid into the system. Another idea has been for people to say, "Give me all of my money so I can put it into a personal account and get all my money back," which is a misnomer because you already receive back on average more than you pay into the system. All right. While, yes, if SSI were set up in personal accounts similar to 401ks, you could possibly see a larger return over the years of your working age than the T bills that the government uses to generate the invest in. But it may not work out that way. According to the math, the average household pays about 660,000 in the SS over the lifetime and will receive a little over 700,000 back. So what they paid is plus a small amount of interest. As for Medicaid and Medicare, the average couple pays only 166,000 in the program over a lifetime, but will spend 556,000, or the government will spend that on them, which means the government is paying out over 400,000 per household in Medicare or Medicaid costs, which is why we really the only way to cut spending is to find ways to lower the cost of care through cures or other innovative technologies that can reduce the cost of treatment or even cure chronic diseases like diabetes, type 1 or type 2, and possibly certain types of cancer to heart disease, which would save trillions of dollars over 10 years in spending. Then we still obviously have to cut borrowing. So no matter what the left says, we have to cut all of the waste, fraud, and abuse out of Medicaid and Medicare. If we don't, want to see our country become a third world country in the next 10 years or end up in a World War III plus world poverty. It. Our politicians have, over the last 40 years, kept kicking the can down the road, saying, oh, my replacement can deal with this problem. I would rather keep winning re-election. Not only Democrats, but also Republicans have done the same. This has been a bipartisan issue, and while Republicans haven't done much of anything, it's the left that has consistently raised taxes while also increasing spending to buy more votes. Then, when Republicans tried to do something about it, Democrats won't reach across the aisle and work together. And as Representative Schweiker stated in the previous one, they will run ads that the Republicans want to push grandma and grandpa off the cliff. I mean, that's literally what they do. So they're not honest or truthful about really wanting to cut the budget. They just want to try to say it because they think it'll win them votes and they'll get them reelected or get them back in power. I can promise you, they get back in power, they'll cut a little bit from the defense budget. They'll cut a little bit from, they won't cut foreign aid. They'll give more to that. They'll cut some other, then they'll give a bunch of pet projects and green deals and all that. And then they'll raise taxes, which will actually slow the economy down. And they won't do crap for the budget, just like they haven't over the last 40 years. All right. The last serious person to do anything with the budget, make any serious cuts, was Bill Clinton, but and he was the one, if I remember correctly, he extended the age from 62 to 65 on retirement age for Social Security. Hasn't been touched since then. It's got to be touched. So there's no way to get out of that. All right. Looks like I finally got somebody on YouTube. Don't know if they're still on here or not, but all righty. I still don't see any comments or anything on here. I was trying to see how everything's going, but I still don't see anything. Don't see any comments in the comment section because uh I just ended my segment. So I was going to see if I have anything else, but I don't. I don't have any comments in either one of the rooms. We're good there. I was trying to see if I could find my the other video I wanted to show, but I don't see it on here. All right, so we got that. Trying to see if I could find the video I wanted to play, but I can't find it. So, alrighty, I'm gonna go ahead and move on. I don't know if anybody heard about the Chinese immigrants that were suspected of bioterrorism, smuggling dangerous agents into the U.S. in boots. And they actually found out that I'm not going to try to pronounce their names, but they entered the U.S. on fraudulent student visas, didn't even have them, and they were smuggling a toxic crop-killing pathogen, which also has devastating health effects on humans. Stuffed the noxious fungus into her boots while entering the U.S. in 2022, documents show. According to an arrest affidavit for the University of Michigan postdoctoral research fellow Yongjing Jin, or however you say her name, and her boyfriend Zhang Yong Lu, Jean first brought Fusarium guar, I can't even pronounce it, described as a potential agro-terrorism weapon in scientific literature in August 2022. Conversation between Jin and Liu shows Liu instructing Jin on how to smuggle the fungus, according to the affidavit. So, yeah, I mean, they had this stuff here for over a year. Thank God they didn't use it. I mean, it creates head blight, a disease of wheat, barley, maize, and rice, and is responsible for billions of dollars in economic losses worldwide each year, according to the Department of Justice. It is also toxic to humans and can cause vomiting, liver damage, and reproductive defects in humans and livestock. The affidavit, which said Jen has been attempting to smuggle the pathogen in the U.S. since she began postdoctoral studies funded by China in 2022, also accuses Jen of asking a third party to send her Fusarium guarminium in January 2024. So they never got in here, but they've been trying to since 22. And it's thank God they didn't get in here because this could have literally wiped our foods out. And this is another reason why we've got to strengthen our visa programs. We've got to strengthen our immigration system because this thing of this is the second thing with Chinese nationals coming in the United States trying to literally destroy our country. And honestly, with as little as we can work right now, that's how I would do it. I wouldn't attack us full head on in a war. I would come at us through agroterrorism or bioterrorism or something like that from inside our country, because we're too worried about fighting each other and attacking each other's political sides and stuff, and we're not concentrated enough on actually looking at what's going on right in front of us. So I'm going to go ahead and get on to my segment three, the rise of anti-Semitism in the U.S. While the rise of anti Semitism in the United States has been going on since the end of President Obama's second term, it has been in the last 4 years that it has grown beyond the pale. Originally, it started with the Squad, now leaders of the progressive wing of the Democratic Party, who consist of some Muslim and anti Jews and others who have taken up their mantle, have just taken it beyond anywhere. After the war started in Israel in 2023 due to Hamas attacking a Jewish concert and killing thousands of Jewish and American citizens while taking hundreds more hostage, the United States started seeing a rise in pro-Palestinian and pro-Hamas protests, which grew and started taking over liberal college campuses like Harvard and Columbia University, obviously others, where Jewish students were harassed, beaten, and threatened to the point where they didn't even feel safe to go to class. During the Biden administration, these protests were allowed to go on, which grew the movement and hate that has been increasing towards the Jewish people even more and more. Then 2 weeks ago, we saw the tipping point of such events when a Jewish couple was shot and killed in Washington, D.C., outside an event for the Israeli embassy. Okay, and then following the horrific terrorist attack, then we have another terrorist attack targeting Jewish Americans this past Sunday. The nation is grappling with questions of security and prevention. In response, the Trump administration has taken even a firmer stance directing Harvard and Columbia universities to release the conduct records of all students, visa holders, or they will lose their rights to enroll foreign students along with billions in government aid and will have their right revoked. This request is not without precedent, as the administration seeks to determine if any evidence exists that these individuals have been actively involved with anti American, anti Jewish hate groups, or terrorist organizations. Such involvement would constitute a severe breach of their visa agreements, which explicitly prohibit participation in such activities. So, this isn't something that's just new or something. The administration's action reflects a commitment to national security and a determination to hold accountable those who violate the terms of their entry into the United States. The investigation aims to identify individuals who have misrepresented themselves on their intentions upon entering the country and to ensure that student visas are not being used as a cover for activities that pose a threat to American values and safety. So to say that this is about, I've had people go, I've seen comments on my TikTok posts and everything on my post online and stuff say, "Oh, what about due process?" That has nothing to do with due process. All right, they are not. It is not a right for them to be here. It is a privilege for them to be here. We gave them the privilege to come here. So if you're going to come here, you can't sit there and participate in anti-American, terroristic, or hate-related stuff. Maybe an American citizen can do that. They may have the right to do that. We can't really stop them. But when you are here on a student visa, you do not have that much of freedom of speech. You do not have the due process when it comes to that. You're caught doing that stuff. Your visa is revoked. You're out of here. Because again, we are not arresting you and putting you in jail. We are just sending you home. That's why it's not full due process, because it is not a criminal charge. It is just a procedural. You were allowed to come here. You violated those rules. You're out. Period. I mean, it's insane. While it is true that recent Trump administration policies have intensified scrutiny of international students, particularly regarding political activism, it isn't some new policy. Student visa holders have always been prohibited from involvement in terrorist organizations or activities deemed hostile to the country. Participating in protests to support Hamas and spout anti Western views, anti Semitism, and support terrorism is doing just that. So these guys didn't just come out of nowhere. I mean, it's not like, this just pretended and jumped out of nowhere that this happened. This happened because of the fact that these people didn't. I mean, it's insane. So it has nothing to do with any of the thing. It's it's what happened. All right. So this has all to do with, it's got to be what's got to be. And the left and these judges, I'm hoping the Supreme Court will hurry up and issue their new order to get this stuff gone and done, to take away these federal judges who are just overreaching their Article 2 powers beyond the pale. They're just going too far. All right. Let me see. Got any more? Any? Nope. Don't see any comments in my YouTube video. So my YouTube, Facebook, or Twitch, or on my Rumble side. So I will get going to my segment 4. Now, this is just kind of about the left, but today a controversial story erupted regarding a drag queen storytime event planned at the Chicago Library. This event was specifically targeted at children aged 0 to 5 years old. And then another one was adding to controversy as another event designed for children as young as ages 6 included gender identifying stations and individuals who identify as transgender being dressed in nun attire. I mean, it's ridiculous. All right. Simultaneously, a high jumper from Oregon took a public stand during her event. She wore a shirt emblazoned with XX, symbolizing female chromosomes to protest the inclusion of transgender men in women's sports competitions. Her actions brings to the forefront a growing debate about fairness and biological difference in aesthetics. I don't know if you saw me before earlier, but I was going to stop since you just jumped in here and probably didn't hear me. But I do any questions or comments or whatever. I usually look at those once I get done with my little 3 to 5 minute segment. The core of the issue revolves around the inherent physical disadvantages that men possess over women. The biological distinction has historically kept men and women separating competitive sports. Where there are not a significant physical disparity, the integration of women and men in sports would have likely occurred centuries ago. The reality is biological differences exist, and the differences are athletic performance, affect athletic performance. The girls competing in these events are not just losing by small margins, they are often significantly outmatched. This raises serious questions about fair play. A female athlete who has dedicated years of rigorous training and made countless sacrifices should not be placed at a disadvantage by having to compete against someone who inherently has physical advantages. Biological realities cannot be ignored. The incontrovertible reality of male physiological advantages, particularly in areas of strength, speed, and overall physical capacity, presents a significant challenge to ensuring fairness in athletic competition. When female athletes are not mandated to compete against biological males, it fundamentally undermines, or are mandated, undermines the principle of a level playing field and a cornerstone of equitable sporting events. This disparity extends beyond competitive outcomes, as evidenced by the alarming instances of injuries sustained by female athletes forced to compete against transgender men, highlighting the inherent risk arising from pronounced physical discrepancies. Even setting aside religious or moral viewpoints, biological realities remain unchanged. Human biology dictates a reproductive purpose, and while individual identity is a personal matter, the fundamental biological makeup of a person cannot be altered by subjective belief. The sustainability and long term health of societal support systems, such as the Social Security program, face considerable challenges. A key factor contributing to these differences is the shifting demographic landscape characterized by an increasing elderly population and a declining younger workforce. Which I spoke about this earlier during the budget, too. Now, fertility rates have fallen, with a notable decrease in the number of couples having more than 1.5 children per household. This demographic shift poses a threat to the delicate balance needed for population replacement and the smooth functioning of essential government programs. I mean, it's more than just one thing. The ability of a society to perpetuate itself and maintain essential services hinges upon a stable and sufficient population base, which is increasingly at risk due to these evolving demographic trends, which is why we have to admit as a society that gender dysphoria is in reality, as it always has been, gender disorder. We must stop worrying about being politically correct and get out and fight as hard and loud as the transgender movement, and to let our leaders know that we will not stand for public schools and facilities being used to indoctrinate our children, confuse them, making them think that they can be something else that they can't, because they can't change who they are. Biology and gender are one and the same, and it wasn't even recognized for over 1,000 years. It wasn't until gay marriage was legalized that this shift started to take root. In 2013, a year after, is when American Psychological Association reclassified gender disorder as gender dysphoria and stopped recognizing it as a mental disorder. So it's that's what a lot of people don't even understand, is they try to say, oh, it's not a mental disorder. Yes, it is. It's been a mental disorder. It always has been and always will be. It has been for a very long time. So if we don't stop it, then that's what's going to happen. We I'm sorry, but we're literally driving ourselves. We're going to drive ourselves to extinction because we are not reproducing. We You look at science, you look at nature, you look at science, look at nature, look at religion, look at everything. Everything says that we were built to be with the opposite sex, not with the same. So now the question is what's causing people to be born this way? What's causing people to want to be something different than what they are? Is it a genetic mutation? Is it a in the middle of a show? Is it genetic mutation? As it has something to do with their other whatever. I mean, what exact is an environmental factor? Is it a mental um, chemical imbalance in their brain? What is causing them to be this way? Sorry if I so loud, but I was trying to do this earlier tonight. The kids are all running around, and I don't have a door on my office yet, so still trying to work on that. But I'm going to go ahead and get on to my segment five, the left's hypocrisy. Now, the progressive left is fundamentally driven by the pursuit of power and control. They achieve this objective through cultivating an oppressive and victim mentality among their constituents by convincing individuals that they are inherently disadvantaged and capable of success without governmental intervention. The left fosters dependence on government support. This dependence, however, paradoxically hinders the very success it purports to enable. A mindset that perceives systematic obstruction and personal victimization discourages the risk taking and perseverance necessary for upward mobility and personal achievement. Consequently, individuals who believe themselves to be victims, trapped within a rigid system, are less likely to pursue opportunities and overcome challenges, ultimately perpetuating a cycle of reliance rather than fostering independence and self sufficiency, which by definition is cut from the Marxist playbook in the makings of a socialist dictatorship. Now, whereas the MAGA movement and conservatives are about individuality and believe that while government is needed to help hold a nation together and protect it from its adversaries, that it is where it stops. MAGA conservatives believe in common sense, and that's one's skills and abilities are what separate them from others. Only they themselves can, through hard work and perseverance, rise out of poverty or the middle class and become wealthy or successful. Also, MAGA conservatives don't care what race or sex someone is, or even if they are gay. We only care about is that everyone is treated equally based on merit, without special treatment due to perceived oppression or victimization caused by outside forces that hinder their success because others are privileged or perceived as privileged. Now, um, I wish I had it up on here, but there was a post about um he works with what's his name that does why am I'm going blank that does all the speeches at the colleges, Turning Point. But it was a new guy that started doing speeches for them. It's a big, heavy set black dude. He's always on TikTok, posts videos. Big conservative guy on there. He's with not Charlie Kirk, but y'all know what I'm talking about. He was talking about on there and debating with them on how that if you look at the way their oppression has gone is it talks about what I just said earlier, that literally the oppressive mindset and the victimization mindset is what has stopped black people from rising. Because if there was all this, so if it was true, then why can these black people now come over from Africa and stuff and make it and become rich? Why can other races come in here into this country from out of the country if they're supposed to have such an oppressive and everything against them? Then how are they coming in and becoming millionaires? How are they growing to above the perceived things? And then if you look at Jews, Jews are not predominantly white. That's why they were in the Middle East. They're not white. And then if you look at the Jewish population, they were literally almost wiped out to nothing. You want to talk about, and it was white people that committed the genocide on them. What obviously Germans, so they were the most pure white. But yet if you believe what everybody says, Jewish people are the richest, most powerful people in there. So then explain to me again, how is a race or religious group that was literally almost wiped out and was oppressed and called everything is somehow risen to the top, but yet not African Americans, because they get rich as can be, but black Americans for some reason can't get out of poverty. It's the mindset. It's not really what happens. It's the mindset that they've been driven to believe, so they don't even try. They believe that everything's going to be against them and there's no reason to try, so there's no reason to move forward. They're just going to live off the government, take their free money they're owed because they're so victimized. You know what? If I had followed and believed everything what everybody had told me, I would not be where I'm at today. Because statistically, I should not be here today. Statistically, I should be flipping burgers, in prison, or dead. Because I grew up with a single mom, two kids, no college degree, broke is a joke. I know didn't have anything. So statistically, I should have been oppressed. I should not have rose up. I should not get out. I broke every statistical, not out every statistic out there. I blew away because I didn't listen to what they say. I believed what I believe, and I went with what I knew I could do, and I never gave up. So that is where it comes to. All right. Sorry about this one being kind of broken up. My kids, obviously, they're home for the summer. I still have not gotten a door on my office, so it's wide open, so it makes hard to get it quiet around here. But please don't forget to jump on and watch it. Like I said, it's going to be Wednesdays, Thursdays, and Sundays, 7 p.m., possibly between 4 to 6 on Sunday, just depending. I will start posting them up. Also, like I said, I just started my website, Patriots Corner with drhill.com. It's not fully set up. I'm still getting it set up there, but it does have all of my previous episodes on there and should have this episode up there pretty soon too. So please check it out. And it's also got the link to my Rumble page to get you to my locals to if you want to go ahead and subscribe. Currently right now, once I get some more subscribers, I'll start doing subscriber posts and subscriber like discussion boards and stuff. But eventually, once I have enough subscribers, I will start doing subscriber only lives, and then also start getting. Eventually, once I can do this full time, I plan on putting together some series on financial literacy, credit building, and real estate development. So let me know. I got also sound there. I'm looking to see if anybody's possibly a co-host or somebody producing and stuff like that, or let me know. Contact me through the website, and also if you have any ideas on what you would like to see me cover or any positive feedback or constructive feedback to change stuff on the show to make it better, please let me know. Other than that, have a good night.